In a world almost forgotten sits the majestic Grand Library of Tsorephebe. Full of knowledge and hope, it straddles two city nations full of tension. 6 unlikely heroes are amongst their midst when a fire breaks out. Will they succeed in saving the library? This is Librarians and Dragons, Part 3, Subduing the Flames.
Next up is Daffodil.
I really just want to get out of here. I really don't care about any of these people at all around me. But sadly, my giant tortoise Slow is very slow, and I've been yanking at him, and he's not moving. I don't like water. I can't swim. It makes me very anxious. So I'm looking around for somewhere to hide, like a secret chamber of some sort for me and my tortoise. I really don't care about anything else. I can't get out fast. So, maybe some people want to come along with me to hide. That's up to them. But yeah, so I wanted to do either perception or insight. I wasn't sure which one would be better for that.
Good question. Perception is normally for using our 5 senses, whereas insight is usually what we use to roll towards people. So insight will tell us what someone is thinking or, subtext behind their words. So in this instance, perception would be the way to go.
Okay, so I'm going to roll perception, and I have +6 for it, so it felt right.
Right.
Oh, it felt very right. I rolled a 16, so 16 + 6 is math.
That is math. I believe that's a 22.
It's 22. 22.
That is a super success. All right, that is 2 successes in a row. Good work, team, so far. Daffodil, you scurry about just trying to find a safe haven, and you find yourself rushing to the front door of the library, and you hide behind a gigantic pillar that seems to be out of the way of the crowds of people stampeding around and, causing mass chaos. As you do, you see the librarian, Impatient, running down the steps, screaming for help. And because you rolled very high and above a 20, several of the other crowd members and people trying to escape notice that you are smartly, not just being part of the stampede, but rather finding a safe place to camp out. And probably to your hermit-like chagrin, many of the bystanders start crowding around you and gathering around you and thanking you, being like, thank you for finding this little nook. We seem to be out of the way of the fire. And they start shaking your hand. It's very uncomfortable for you. You're just surrounded by people.
Hurrying off, I'm following the librarian. I hate this. I'm dragging Slow with me. We're going where she's going.
Okay, so you begin dragging your tortoise towards the librarian, going down the stairs, and the people stay where they are. They like their little hiding place. All right, nicely done. So you have made it out of the fire well enough. Now I'm seeing some people in the comments, save the people, save the books, find the source of the fire and put it out. All good ideas. So we're going to go next. Or if you're Daffodil, get out of Dodge. Dewey, your turn is next. What would you like to do on your turn?
In a rare moment of courage, I can feel my holy amulet glowing. I feel very intrinsic desire to help the people of the patrons of the library who seem to be running around very chaotically, and my sense of purpose is just filling me at the moment. So being the kind of character who tends to be mostly underfoot for the majority of their existence, I just feel the urge to fly up and call out to the patrons to use the glowing amulet to help direct them out of the library, to act as a sort of beacon for them.
Nice. So that could be, you can roll a religion check because you're using your divine artifact, or would you like to roll maybe persuasion to try to convince the people, or did you have a different skill in mind?
My dexterity is quite high. Would I be able to use acrobatics?
So acrobatics is more for, leaping around and cartwheeling and, maybe... So I'm trying to think, how would you apply acrobatics to this situation?
I was thinking being a flying character might be able to sort of herd the people towards the exit, just be able to fly around and direct them in the correct direction.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and roll an acrobatics check. As an Owlin, she's able to fly, and you attempt to swoop around using your amulet as a source of light and gather as many people as possible to escape the library. So go ahead and give us that roll.
Okay, I got a 9 on the roll. And then is that +2 for acrobatics?
Yes, you do have a +2 for acrobatics, so that's going to bring us to an 11, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, our Owlin is not as acrobatic as she wishes she would be. In her haste and desire to help and the chaos and commotion, she flies around but accidentally slams into a giant bust of Emperor Tweedlededalus, which looms over one of the archways, and you fall flat to the ground and get stampeded by a bunch of chaotic library goers. You take 3 points of damage. So this is our first damage. So on your sheet, you'll see your hit point, which is traditionally at the top of your sheet, hit point maximum. You're just going to subtract 3 from that total. And please try not to go to 0 or below, because that means you are knocked out, and we do not want that. So unfortunately, the Owlin is not able to accomplish her task. Chaos continues to ensue as we move on to Tayatzin's turn. Yes, Marco's turn. Now, by the way, I should add quickly that you guys have abilities on your sheets, like magical abilities and different features. Those of you who are spellcasters, you have a 3rd page, which lists all of your magic spells. And the rest of you have several abilities on your 1st page. You can use those abilities in the skill challenge if you can tie it to a skill. For example, a sorcerer can use an Arcana check to cast one of their magic spells, because Arcana is magic in D&D. Or a rogue could use, well, I don't want to give too much away, but you can use abilities on your sheet to accentuate your skill check. And if you do so successfully, I might give you advantage on the roll or give you a bonus. So Marco, I didn't mean to derail you there. I just wanted to throw in a comment for anybody still trying to figure out things to do. What would you like to attempt?
Yeah, no problem. So it's my turn now. Great. So did we understand how the fire started yet, or no?
No, we have no idea.
Okay, got it. So I will attempt to, basically attack the fire with my Thunder Wave, because normally it'll move objects up to 10 feet, and maybe that's enough force to extinguish some of the flames.
Good idea. So that would be an Arcana check, which as a sorcerer, I would imagine you're pretty good at. Thunderwave, folks, is a cool spell, which I'll describe if he succeeds on it. So let's see what you get.
I got a 15.
All right. Just you do succeed.
Oof.
With a 15. Just barely though. As you surround yourself with thunderous energy, and then with a boom, you protrude a thunder wave from your body. It emanates from you like essentially a giant thunderous blast, which creates not only a very loud sound, which all around can hear, but also a big burst of thunderous energy, which successfully pushes a great deal of the fire out of the way and creates sort of like a clear area that people are able to run through and bypass. It also successfully snuffs out a large section of the library's flames. In doing so, however, you can't help but notice that the Thunderwave also decimates a number of scrolls and books, because Thunderwave is fairly non-discerning. It's not going to single out anything. In fact, there's a couple of bystanders around you who get knocked back by the force of your wave. You did not call out, everybody steer clear of me. So nobody steered clear of you. A bunch of pedestrians are knocked to their feet, and they curse your name as they stand up and run away. But your check was successful, and you do manage to put out many of the flames. Nice job, Mr. Sorcerer.
You can thank me later. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So that's 3 successes and 1 failure so far. Arvon, the rogue, you are next. What would you like to do?
I want to usher Ellen of Anoia out of danger.
Oh, okay. How would you like to do that? With what skill?
Survival?
Survival, yes. Survival is perfect.
All right.
So go ahead and roll a survival check.
19 plus 4 goes to 23.
All right. Somebody said we got all of our good rolls out at the beginning. Clearly, Arvon had a couple up his rogue-like sleeves, as they often do.
They're loaded dice.
Exactly, loaded dice. That is most certainly a success, Arvon, as you use your knowledge of survival and the way that flames work and the wind and the different spells that are being cast around you to get a sense of the terrain. And grabbing Ellen of Anoia by the arm rather brusquely, you usher her out. She says, "Oh, no!" She's very much playing the damsel in distress thing there, and you successfully get her out of the library. And I'm going to go ahead and give you advantage on all charisma-based checks with Ellen from now on, because you very specifically, pinpointed her and nobody else. So that was, in a way, kind of selfish, but also, look, you did save a very important member of the society. So you rush out with Ellen of Anoia, and you see Daffodil and Impatia the Librarian also rushing down the steps ahead of you. You also can't help but notice the poor little Owlin Cleric who has fallen to the ground with a big bruise on her head, but you pay it no mind as you rush out of the environment. All right, next up, that is good. That is 4 successes. We're on our way. Next up is Gramata, Spinebreaker.
I'm on the outside, so how far am I from the library?
You are about 35 feet from the entrance.
Okay.
But in a skill challenge, distance doesn't matter. I know you're a veteran D&D player.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get there in one turn.
Yeah. We're not worried about character speed right now. So if you want to get into the library, or at least you could probably get at least to the entrance area, like the entranceway, that's totally fine.
Okay, so how are people reacting? Do I see anybody trying to put out the fire? Is everybody just running away?
The only person who is trying to lead the charge as far as putting out the fire is the head guard, who is trying to order his troops to do the same. The troops are kind of taken aback by the situation, so some of them are kind of being cowards and running away, but the head guard is leading the charge of putting it out.
All right, can I cast a spell and use Arcana?
Yeah, Arcana was unfortunately used by our sorcerer. What is your class again? You are a Tiefling?
Barbarian, but because of my Tiefling, I have a couple cantrips.
You could use nature to cast a spell, because barbarians generally use nature, unless somebody else was planning on using nature.
That works.
What spell did you have in mind? Just
Thaumaturgy?
Thaumaturgy? Okay. If it's for the purpose of ordering people around, you could actually do it as an intimidation check, and the thaumaturgy could be just an accentuation of that.
Well, I did fine on the nature roll. I got a 21, so.
Okay, great. All right, so you cast thaumaturgy, which for those uninitiated, Gramata, why don't you tell us what that does and how you're using it in the situation?
So thaumaturgy basically allows me to do a minor wonder. So something that would be considered basically sort of a miracle or something that is supernatural. So what I would like to do is, in this sort of booming voice that sounds like whatever god or higher power people believe in, to stop running and save the library.
All right. You get a glance from the head guard as your booming voice cuts through the screaming crowds and the chaos of the fire. And you order everybody to try and put out the fire with a rousing success of, what'd you say, a 21? Yep. A 21. You get a lot of people that were fleeing to turn around and start to try their best to help douse the flames with whatever they have on hand, be it sheets that they can, their own togas. Some of them are using their togas to try to billow out the flames, which is partially successful, but in some cases actually makes the fire bigger. But then there's people that rush over to the nearby wells and water springs and use water to try to douse the fire. They are marginally successful, doing their best. In the meantime, the head soldier rushes towards you and says, "That was fine work. We could use someone like you in our military." And he brusquely shakes your hand and says, "My name is Rector. I am the head guard of the Sordian army. Can we count on you in this crisis, miss?"
Spinebreaker, and yes, I can be whatever you need me to be, Rector. Let's do this.
Not a spinebreaker at the moment, although the time may come. I appreciate hard and fast names like that. But for now, maybe water douser or something like that would be more appropriate. And he gives you a firm handshake, and you and Rector begin ordering people around with a good degree of success. Good job. That is our 5th success. So we're 1 away, and we're going to go back to the top of the order, which is going to bring us to Banxi's turn again. No pressure, Banxi.
I'm trying desperately to find something I can do to help, and I am kind of lost because we've already done a lot of things, and we can't repeat anything. So
you can ask your audience members, and you can also ask your fellow players for advice.
That's what I was just about to do. I was like, hey, anybody have an idea of something I should try? Because I'm a gnome. I'm not a sorcerer, so I can only do so many things.
Artificer's audience and players are very intelligent. They are builders. They like to tinker and build things. They're very smart. They tend to be good at investigating. They are magical. They do know how to use some magic, but again, it's this kind of science-infused magic. Very knowledgeable, which sounds like it's not always helpful, but it actually comes in handy quite often.
Yeah,
the players,
there's a limited amount of time to get it all done, and my water spell did a little, but not enough. So,
players, feel free to chime in if you have any.
Anybody have an idea?
You're receiving no help from your players.
I am getting nothing. I guess all I can do is follow the other people down. I'm going to follow the librarian to where she's going and just kind of see what happens. I don't have anything to add because none of this is.
You can also.
Yeah, none of this is playing to my strengths. I'm good at finding things and building things, but I'm not good at saving things. I tried.
No, that's okay. You can pass your turn if you're just like, I'm just gonna kind of follow the crowd and just whatever. So you can pass your turn on and okay.
That's what I'm doing because I got nothing to add and nobody's got anything for me to add. So hopefully the next person has something. Daffodil, you got anything?
Daffodil, you're up next.
All right. So I actually paused on the staircase when I noticed Dewey got hurt. And as a animal lover, I started to go back upstairs to check on Dewey, possibly heal. I do have animal handling as a skill, but I'm not sure if Dewey needs that. And I'm also still trying to save Dewey and leave kind of situation. So I'm not sure if I can do medicine or animal handling. I'm fine with just dragging Dewey down the stairs more so than healing. I know the damage wasn't that much, but I know that she can't really do much either. So can I animal handle Dewey? Can I drag her down the stairs with me?
So traditionally, player races like Owlins are not actually animals; they're creatures. A medicine check, I think, would actually be really useful in this situation because you could quickly patch her up as you rush her outside, and you have a spell called Healing Word. So as you're, bandaging her up, you can give her a healing word and bring her back to her full health as a medicine check.
Okay, then I'm gonna roll for a medicine check. It says I have plus. What is the A for? Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm actually. A is for awesome, but in D&D it is for advantage. So anytime you guys see an A next to a number on your sheet, that means you have automatic advantage on it, which is amazing. That means you have a +9, and you get to roll 2 times and take the higher number.
Oh, okay, let's kick it. Oh, I got a 2. Oh, it's a 9. So 9 plus 9, 18.
Well, thank goodness for that 9 plus 9, because that plus 9 brings it to an 18. So even with a fairly mediocre roll, you do succeed, and that is our 6th success as you healing word poor little Dewey. So Dewey, you can negate those -3 health points that you lost. Yeah, you whisper. What is your healing word, Daffodil? Is it the same word every time?
It's move, move, move.
Nice. You feel inspiring words enter your heart, Dewey, as you're healed up those 3 health points. And you are able to regain your flight composure. And you end up kind of dragging Daffodil along, who, with your talons, you grab onto her sharply and begin to pull her out. You guys have succeeded in the skill challenge. Through all of your efforts, the fires have been mostly doused. And I can change the music to something not as terribly dramatic. Okay, so succeeding in the skill challenge means that our heroes have successfully doused enough of the fire so that there is not a current giant blaze consuming the library. Of course, there are scattered smaller embers and fires throughout the area that are still being tended to. But as our heroes all vacate the library, some of whom are helping the masses out, or some of whom are helping only a certain one individual out, or ordering people around, you guys have taken control of that situation and saved the Grand Library of Tsorephebe. However, I'm looking at the clock here. We still have 1 hour and 15 minutes left of this cast, which means that there is another problem, guys. This fire has sparked outrage. As you all exit the library, you notice that soldiers have amassed on both sides, the Sordian side and the Phoebian side. Emperors Tweedlededalus and Tweedledumdalus have marched up on horseback to meet the troops, and a tense situation is occurring between the two sides, both fleeing insults and fault at the other. As you emerge from the library, you see Rector, the head of the Sordian library. He tries to pull Gramata back to the Sordian side, saying to join in. The Ephebans clearly are responsible for this. They want the library to burn so that they have a scapegoat to blame. But really, it was all on them. The Ephebans, of course, are saying that the Sordians hated the library from the start, and they do not believe in truth and knowledge. This was all their fault. Gramata, how do you respond as Rector tries to kind of bring you to his side?
Rector, I really enjoy hitting people, but we have to think for a moment here. We don't know what started this fire. Shouldn't we figure that out first?
There's no time. The damn Ephebans. They're... But he looks... Why don't you go ahead and roll a persuasion check? And I'm going to give you advantage because you had a, pre-existing relationship with this guy, and you've kind of already gotten on his good side.
15.
Okay, a 15 is quite good. He looks like he is very kind of consumed with rage at the moment, and it seems like this is just the excuse he's been looking for to, let his guns blaze and go into battle. However, your words seem to get through to him. As he's starting to order his troops, he holds up a hand for them to stand down for a moment, and he looks around at the chaos and says, perhaps you're right. There is a pause in his movement. However, just as he seems to be calming himself down, a loose rock gets thrown from the Epheban side from somebody in the crowd and knocks Rector in the head. Suddenly, an arrow goes flying from behind Rector and hits a civilian in the crowd. Mass chaos has broken out as the two sides begin rushing each other in great anger.
This production of Librarians and Dragons was brought to you by the East Brunswick, New Brunswick, Piscataway, and South Brunswick Public Libraries. Our Dungeon Master was Adam Samter of Tabletop Now. Enjoy other adventures on the EBPL Podcast Network by visiting ebpl.org/podcast.